good day to you all. My name is Brent Smith, and I'm the Common Constitutionalist. And this was supposed to be a video podcast, but I got some technical issues with my new video camera and the remote mic and the remote control and all. Jeez, it's just one thing after another. So you know what? I made the video and I can't hear a dang thing. It's like I didn't even have any audio. So anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and do the audio here. And there you go. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to me. Again, in any event, what am I going to talk about today? Oh yeah, that's right. First topic is skipping school to protest, and the second topic is T-shirt gets kids suspended and then unsuspended, as the case may be. And that's what I'll be discussing today on the Common Constitutionalist Unfortunate Audio Podcast. See you in a minute.
You are listening to the Common Constitutionalist, broadcasting from an undisclosed location, free from the prying eyes of establishment black helicopters.
Okay, I'm back. So this is from Hot Air. Virginia school district allows kids to miss school so they can protest Trump. Shocker. The article starts out with these three words. I need you to, there will be a test, so I'll need you to remember these three words. So it begins. That's what the author says, and the author is a smart guy, evidently, just because of those three words. I know this author has got it going on, bro. And if you're wondering what the author means by that, or what I mean about that, I'll get to that later. But first, what are the details? Fairfax County Public School System is one of the nation's largest, with approximately 188,000 students, so says the author from Hot Air. Fairfax County, that's one of the countries where, and being that it's close to Washington, D.C., Fairfax County, and I'm saying this isn't the author, that's one of the counties where all the deep state unelected Washington bureaucrats live. Huh, funny thing. He writes, or she, I don't know who the crap this is, whatever. With close proximity to Washington, D.C., it doesn't take much imagination to understand where the students will be protesting. Shocking. It is being touted as the first school district in the nation to incorporate this policy. So they've even jumped the gun from California or Washington or Oregon. Egad, man. The policy allows students in the 7th through 12th grades, 7th grade, yes, you heard that right, to have one excused absence each school year for quote-unquote civic engagement activities, unquote. Though the definition of civic engagement activities is vague, at this point, as described by spokeswoman Lucy Caldwell, Fairfax School Board member Ryan McElveen, who introduced the policy, gave some examples that will be considered excusable absences: marches, sit-ins, or trips to Richmond to lobby legislators for radical leftist whack job agendas. Now, he didn't write that, or she. I added that. Little editorial license here, as we were. McElveen admits this is listen to this. He knows, too, this leftist radical whack job Fairfax school board member. McElveen admits this is just the beginning of things to come. Funny thing about that. I think, this is McElveen speaking, quote, I think we're setting the stage for the rest of the nation with this, unquote, he said. Quote, It's a dawning of 1984. It's a dawning of a new day, and student activism and school systems everywhere are going to have to be responsive to it, unquote. And if you're asking a question, the answer is no. Of course, that's not at all chilling or Orwellian. No, of course not. Not even close. And the author writes, no, Mr. McElveen, School systems everywhere are not going to have to be responsive to it, and I agree with said author. Lots of protests are held on weekends. This is the author again speaking or writing. Hot air. Lots of protests are held on weekends to allow more people to join. And if I'm not mistaken, every single Tea Party rally, gathering, whatever, back in the day when the Tea Party was the Tea Party, were held on weekends so conservatives could attend because conservatives work for a living. Nah, there you go. Just saying. The article continues, allowing middle school and high school students to skip classes to go protest somewhere off campus is not an acceptable field trip. Oh, yes it is. If you're a member of the leftist collective, the Borg, yes it is. Hot air continues, not only is it an escalation of liberal indoctrination in the classroom, but it is a public safety matter too. What happens when a child is hurt in a crowd or is arrested? Why encourage that? ? I'm hoping all these question marks are rhetorical questions. The whack job radical leftist academics wear being arrested as a badge of honor, not something, that will get you actually in trouble. It's probably a resume enhancement for the academic elite, I guess. They also don't care about any one individual's personal plight. So what if they end up with a criminal record? So what? Again, badge of honor. The collective, as you know, is all that counts with leftism. We're not talking about just run-of-the-mill liberalism. We're talking about radical leftists. That's what these academics are. All they care about was the agenda advanced, and that's it. I mean, they'll outlaw monkey bars on playgrounds because of safety, but if a kid gets hurt or jailed advancing the leftist agenda, then, so what? That's the way it goes. Gotta break a few eggs, if you know what I mean. So here are the guidelines. Under the guidelines, students must fill out a form at least 2 days ahead of their planned absence that explains the reason they plan to miss school, McElveen said. I'm a radical leftist, want to be, and I want to go with Greta Van Steenberg, or whatever the hell her name is, and protest the climate deniers, or whatever the hell. Continuing with the guidelines, they must obtain permission from a parent or guardian of the galaxy, I suppose, and they must stop by their school campus at least once on the day of their excused absence, a measure adopted to address worries about accreditation, McElveen said. But the teenagers do not need administrators' sign-off, McElveen said, although front office staff at each school, most likely an assistant principal, will just glance over a student's request. School officials can't veto it, McElveen said. Instead, a reviewer finds the stated reason. Oh, now listen to this. Instead, if a reviewer finds the stated reason for skipping school troubling, a regional assistant superintendent can be alerted and may intervene, possibly after the protest, and then possibly before the protest. That's what that means. The built-in bureaucratic delay is purposeful, McElveen said, unless, of course, you want to go to a Trump rally. Then there will be no delay. Quote, this is McElveen speaking. There is no strong definition of civic engagement activity, unquote, he said. Quote, because I think we have to be careful not to pick and choose activities. I'm sure you have to be careful not to pick So if you're going to a Constitution rally or a pro-Trump rally or something like that, that'll be Jim freaking dandy. No, it won't. So here's a couple of scenarios. So little Johnny turns in that he's going to protest global warming. The form gets rubber stamped by everybody in academia, and there's no intervention, and maybe he's even given extra credit in his social justice warrior class or something. And that's the way that would go. On the other hand, little Janie turns in that she's going to a Trump rally. What do you think's going to happen? That sucker will be flagged in a New York minute, in less than a heartbeat. See, because they'll say, The Trump rally is political, whereas a global warming rally is most definitely not political. No, of course not. Nothing the leftists do is political. It all has to do with saving the planet, or getting rid of fossil fuels, or doing some other stupid blanking thing. So now let's go back to the beginning. Remember how this started. Remember what I asked you. Here's the test. Remember what I asked you to remember. So it begins. This, to me, means that this author understands incrementalism, and it's always the same with the left. All you do, and man, I sound like a broken frickin' record every time I say this, but I'm going to continue to say it till everybody gets it. That's what Rush says, right? The whole purpose of incrementalism, and the left is really good at that, is just to get something down on paper. Remember, what they'll say is that it's just one day a year after all. What's the big deal? Then in a few years, after that one day a year protest thing has died down and everybody's gone back to sleep, then under the radar, they'll propose more days and more activism and more leftism, and that's the way it's going to be, because it's easier to build on the foundation that's already been laid than for new legislation to be proposed. It doesn't seem nearly as radical that way, and that's the way it always happens. Just get something down. Just get something in print. Get something on the books. A rule, a regulation, a law, whatever it is, just put the skeleton in there, and then you can build from there, and that's the way it always works. That's the way it's going to work this time. It's just one day a year. What's the big deal? The big deal is that you compromise on this, you let them do that, and pretty soon it's a heck of a lot more than one day and a hell of a lot more activism. That's all I got on that. I will be right back after this.
You're listening to The Common Constitutionalist. Let the truth be known.
Oh, righty then. I am back, and I'm no happier. I'm doing this Dadgum thing twice. This really ticks me off, but whatever. I'll get it figured out eventually. What a ticked savvy genius. There we go. Okay. So, next and last topic. Kid gets to wear Trump t-shirt to school. Eventually. This comes to us from the Elder Patriot. Okay, that's great. I don't know whether this guy is just a patriot. He's an American, patriot, or maybe he's an old New England patriot. I don't. Either way, that's good enough for me. Yay, go Pats. Anyway, so it's entitled "School Suspends Student for Wearing Pro-Trump Shirt. Student Sues. Judge Issues Epic Verdict." There you go. An Oregon court, oh shocker, West Coast, Oregon, big whoop. An Oregon court has upheld the right, listen to this, an Oregon court has upheld the right of senior Addison Barnes to wear a pro-Trump t-shirt. U.S. District Judge Michael W. Mossman's ruling came after Barnes, who had been suspended for wearing a t-shirt that the school's principal had deemed offensive, brought suit against Liberty High School. And the Elder Patriot says, where's the irony in this? Liberty High School in Hillsborough School District, Oregon, and the school's principal, Greg the Commie Timmons. I added the Commie, little editorial license again there. Barnes, an 18-year-old senior, noted that the school made no efforts to similarly ban viewpoints opposing his own, and even cited a poster that reads, quote, "Sanctuary City, welcome home," unquote, that one teacher has had hanging in their classroom all year, and it's been unaccosted. Ha ha ha, fancy that. Lawyers for the school district argued that the shirt would contribute to a hostile learning environment, quote unquote, and would make students feel insecure in school, noting that about 33% of high school students are of Hispanic descent. Who cares if they're of Hispanic descent? I wonder if they're legal or illegal aliens. Doesn't matter what their descent is, whether they're illegal or legal. They could be from the moon, and if they're here illegally, they shouldn't be here, regardless of your sanctuary policy, you freaking boneheads. Back to the Elder Patriot. They also said that the school has been the site of recent student walkouts and sit-ins to protest Trump's immigration policies. Well, isn't that appropriate? Sounds like Fairfax County, Virginia. Ba-dum-bum. These geniuses were essentially setting as a predicate for their defense that the school had already chosen sides in a political debate, which it had, at least the administrators and academic elite blank bags, and any other point of view now represented a threat to the community, of which, in fact, that is absolutely correct. This is Trump or any conservative philosophy is a threat to these commies. Attorney Peter Merzero, arguing for the Hillsborough School District, actually claimed, quote, this particular school district has a population that is 1/3 Hispanic. This is not Lake Oswego. This is not West Lynn, unquote. Must meaning all the crackers live there, or some such nonsense. Merzero was effectively arguing that once a community reaches a certain concentration of foreign-born students, their First Amendment rights are lost, and they are not to be governed by the laws of the country from which, or they are to be governed by the laws of the country from which their parents fled. Ain't that interesting? Yes, it is. However, Judge Mosman stopped Merzero dead in his tracks, asking, quote, so First Amendment protections vary from high school to high school? He queried, ? Ultimately, Judge Mosman dismissed the school's defense that Barnes' T-shirt might offend some of the snowflake immigrants, some of the largely immigrant school population, saying that while the school district is entitled to be concerned about the response of other students to the T-shirt, the thin court record so far offers little support for the district's argument that the shirt could substantially disrupt school. One T-shirt could throw everybody into a panic. How pathetic are these kids? How literally pathetic are these people? Mosman found that, quote, there's not enough to go on here to show that sort of legitimate concern justifying censorship of this core political speech, unquote. That's a definite win for the Constitution and a win for freedom in my book. But it's also important to note something else. And it's gone almost, and it really has, it's gone almost entirely under the radar for most people, which is kind of great, and little reported, which is frankly even better because there aren't protests about it. And remember, this is a Western United States District Court, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals that gets overturned more often than not. So what gives with this? Well, we can thank Trump once again. Here's a report on this from November the 6th. This is regarding judicial appointees. President Trump has now had 158 judicial nominees confirmed to the federal bench and historic transformation of the judiciary. President Trump has nominated and confirmed 2 Supreme Court justices, one good, one Kavanaugh, still not a fan. 44 circuit court judges and 112 district court judges. President Trump has appointed more circuit judges by this point in his presidency than any president in recent history. Listen to this, approximately 1 out of every 4 active judges on the United States Courts of Appeals has been appointed by President Trump. 25% of all active Court of Appeal judges. Wowzer, baby. This historic transformation is only accelerating, with President Trump on pace to have more judges confirmed this year than in 2017 and 2018 combined. That was as of November the 6th. And these judges, if I may interject, these judges aren't Republican judges. They're not middle-of-the-road judges. These guys are originalist conservatives, and we know this because they are recommended to the president by a constitutional think tank that has been, I don't know, they contracted or they lend advice to the president on who are originalist constitutionalist judges that he should be nominating. That way he won't get like the Karl Roves of the world or just the Republican wingnuts that all they want to do is go along to get along judges or some such nonsense. And that's how you end up with a John Roberts and those types. And this, as Uncle Joe Biden might say, is a big effing deal. So there you have it. That's all I've got. My name is Brent Smith. I am the Common Constitutionalist, a.k.a. I hope you guys have a blessed balance of the day and a blessed New Year. I hope you all had a nice, safe Christmas. Please be safe on New Year's Eve. It's amateur hour out there. I stay home. Hadn't gone out for New Year's Eve in a long time. It's just too many idiots out there. So anyway, that's all I got. Take care. See ya.